Baby, February was a damn good reading month for me. I don't know about y'all. I know y'all like to read like once a year in the February. I do it all year, but baby, I had a time. Hello and welcome back to Shelby and the Book Club. I'm Shelby Monet, and in today's video we're going to do my February reading wrap up. I read a whole bunch of books. It was such a better reading month than January was. Even though January wasn't bad, I didn't read as much as I intended to, but I definitely made that up in February. So let's get into it. First, let's do some housekeeping. There are some changes to the underneath bar. Okay, if you click down there because you want to support me and click on some of them links, you will see that there is now a bookshop affiliate link that you could shop from that supports me and this channel and keeps this up and running. There is also a Liberal FM list. So for every video that I post, there will be a matching list on Liberal FM and on Bookshop. If the books are not available on there, I will still be posting the Amazon links because a lot of the books that I read these days are by Black indie authors, and a way to support them means that sometimes we have to support Amazon, and until that changes, it is what it is. So you can find all of those links in the underneath bar. Another housekeeping thing that you may have noticed, this video came out later than normal. There will be new upload times, not only for Friday videos, but for the weekly vlogs. They will go up on Sundays now, and Friday's videos will go up later in the day. I think that's everything. Okay, so all information you need is down below in the underneath bar. It's called the underneath bar because it is underneath the video. Y'all get it. Y'all is getting it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share. We are growing our family. I'm trying to get y'all to read more. I'm trying to get y'all to read more diversely. And I can't do that by myself. Y'all got to drag y'all cousins in here, okay? All right. Let's get into it for real this time. Ain't much changed around here, okay? First up, we're going to get into my stats. Y'all know, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my mini girl. This is my iPad mini. Where I go, she go. Where she go, I go. This is my home girl. She got all my information on here, okay? I be taking notes on her. I be reading on her. I think you should get you one. It is what it is. Everything will be posted on the screen. The app that I use to track my reading is Storygraph. Storygraph is Black owned, Black woman owned, and Black woman run, okay? You should be using it. It has all of the things that you need to track your books. There is a bit of a learning curve, but if you need help, just say that you need help and stop saying that the app is trash. I'm going to pop your hands. I'm going to pop your hands. All right. So I read a total of 15 books. That will be about 4,158 pages. I wanted to read more. I was trying my best. Okay. But I'm proud of myself. I think for quarter one, I want to round it out at 30 books for the quarter, and then that way I'll kind of be on track to make 100 books for the year. So I'll be fine. I ain't really concerned. It's just the tism be fighting back sometimes, and we get along sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we get along. All 15 of those books were fiction. I started some nonfiction. You guys will see that in the weekly vlog that you will see on Sunday. I did start some nonfiction. I'm slowly getting through it. I'm trying to rectify that in the month of March. Don't worry about it. The top genres were romance, duh. Literary, also duh. Historical, duh again. And sci-fi and fantasy. Those were the top 5. My formats, mostly digital. I'm trying to round this out a little bit, but mostly digital. 60% was digital, 20% was Audible, and 20% was print. I still want to balance this out. I'm still trying to figure out how to balance it out. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. But those are my stats. It was a good month. It was a good month. And everything that I read, for the exception of like one, which we'll get to in a second. I had a good reading month. So let's start with my audiobooks. Surprisingly enough, I read a YA this month. I read All the Blues in the Sky by Renee Watson. I don't think I've read anything else by her. This is a young adult book that is about a young girl who loses her best friend. Her best friend passes away in a car accident, and it is following her through her journey through grief at a young age. I thought it was very well written. Bonnie Turpin does the audiobook. I love Bonnie Turpin. Bonnie Turpin could read me the alphabet. She could read me her grocery list off the back of an Applebee's napkin, and I would be content. I'd be happy. I wouldn't have no complaints, okay? I thought it translated well for me as an adult. I still was engaged and intrigued in it. I could also see it being something that the kids will like too, because it wasn't all sad. It had other bits of conversation and bits of her life in there. But I think it's something that I could see parents wanting to read with their kids and like having a conversation about. So that was really good. Next up, I read my first Kimberly Lemming book, and it will also be my last. I'll tell you why. So I read her latest book called I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com. When I tell you I had a phenomenal time listening to this, thank you to Liberal FM's affiliate program that I'm a part of for gifting me the arc of this. I love the narrator. I love the story until she used the C word for the male appendage. No, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. It feels very vulgar. I love black men. And I don't think that black men have C words. Black men have D words. That's what black men have. So it was like, I was envisioning, because I didn't even get to tell y'all what the story is about. I was envisioning these aliens like they look like black men, and then she used the C word, and now all of a sudden Brad is in my head. And I don't want, Brad can't, I am for W.E.B. and Du Bois. Okay? This part. So a girl gets abducted by aliens, and it's very funny because when she gets abducted, like the story starts out, she works in the veterinarian, like animal business realm of the world, and she is videotaping meerkats. And her mama calls her, and she's on the phone like, I am at work. You cannot be calling me while I'm at work. I'm trying. Big things are happening with these meerkats and you bothering me. And then all of a sudden she was sucked up into a spaceship. And she goes on this journey. It's a wide choose. There are multiple aliens that she can choose from. There is a talking lion. It is funny, but it still has like, it still felt like we were talking about something, even though it was very like goofy and about nothing. Like, it was fun. It makes me want to read more fun books. It definitely put me in the mind of I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend. Like, it gives me that type of book, and I want to read more of those. Just stop using the C word. And then what really pissed me off is because later in the book she uses the D word, so she know what she doing. I won't be reading no more Kimberly Lemming books, but it was a good time. It was a very good time. It was a very good time listening to it. I can't do that. I audibly screamed in my kitchen when his C word was entering her slowly. Damn it, I'm sorry if y'all be letting the kids watch my videos, ain't it? Next up, a new to me author, Ishmael Reed. He is a black author that is still alive. I believe our pa is about in his 80s somewhere, I want to say. I think 85, 86. He old as Methuselah. But it was my first time hearing about him. And I saw that this audiobook was available. It's called The Man Who Haunted Himself. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know what the hell that book was about. But when I tell you it went smooth over my head, I need a physical copy so I could read it with my finger, because I don't know what all happened. The main character is a passing black man that is very into science. Okay? He is a nerd. And he's always been into science, but he's also been a little, I don't like to say the word weird. We're gonna say he always been a little spooky. Okay, because his mom caught him that one time trying to take a boy's brain out of his body. Anyway, he figures out a way to actually do a brain transplant. And I understand that the story is a conversation in race. It is a conversation in, like, your soul, and like that your race is more than just the color of your skin. Like, I understand, I get that, but there's more. And I just don't think that I should have started my journey into his work with this particular book. Like, I say to you guys all the time, was the book bad or did you not understand it? Right? Because I think that can feel similar. And I know that the book is good. I know that there is skill here. I know that there is intelligence here. I'm just not. I need to be more familiar with his work. I need to be more familiar with his writing style. I need to be more familiar with his cadence and his tone and all of those things. I need to be more familiar with that. And then I can come back to this and say, oh, I get it. So I will be venturing into his work. Don't know when. Don't ask me. Okay. Maybe it'll be a side quest for the book club. That's why you should join the Discord. So those were the 3 audiobooks that I listened to. Next up, we'll do the physical books. This was the book club pick for January. Y'all know I read those books the week of the book discussion. The reason that I do that is because I read very quickly. And I read so much. So I don't want to read this at the top of the week. I don't do very good at, like, breaking smaller books up. I like to just start a book and read it through. So I read this the first week of February when we had our book discussion. Percival Everett is, when I tell you The Trees is phenomenal. It is funny. It is informative. It is a deep dive into so many different things. Like, there's a conversation about race in here. There's a conversation about the police system. There's like so much that I could say about this book. So it's a mystery. It tells a story of this small town trying to solve a murder. These white men have been murdered, and at every murder scene, there is the same dead body of a black man that looks like Emmett Till's body, right? And there were a lot of people in the book club that read that in the synopsis and were like, I'm not reading this, it's too heavy, so on and so forth. And then they read it anyway, and they were shocked at how Percival Everett was able to have this very deep conversation about the way of the world, about remembering those that have gone before us in traumatic ways, and still making it funny. One of the quotes that stuck with me was when Granny C said, I wronged that little pickaninny. Why would you write that, Uncle Percival Everett? Why would you do that to me? Because when I tell you I hollered. There's something, it's a study in satire, right? To be able to have such a deep conversation but make it tangible for all different perspectives is a skill that I think a lot of authors should have. I cannot wait to read more of his work. It's not an if, it's just a matter of when. James was phenomenal. The Trees was absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to read more of his work. I'm probably going to try to read Erasure next. Maybe I'll try to squeeze that in March. We shall see. Next up, I want you to know that I'm never going to forgive y'all. I'm never going to forgive you because y'all send me all kind of book recommendations, and this one never, not a DM, a Instagram post, or nothing, and y'all be dying to talk to me. And y'all didn't tell me how good The Last Summer on State Street by Toya Wolfe is. I'm never going to forgive you, reading heifers. I'm never going to forgive you. Do you hear me? I'm never going to forgive you because this This is a book that y'all should have been screaming from the rooftops about. And when I posted it on Instagram, so many people said, oh my gosh, it's a 5-star read. I love that book. When was y'all going to tell me? When was y'all going to tell me? And then I have a hot take that y'all all going to hate. This is the book that y'all think The Coldest Winter Ever is. This is the shit that y'all thought Sister Soldier was talking. Talk to me nice. I hear you gassing your fingers up. Talk to me nice, heifer. This tells the story of 4 girls growing up in the projects in Chicago. In Chicago's Robert Taylor Homes. When I tell you, as a girl that has spent time in the projects as a kid, running through them halls, I felt like she was reading me my childhood. She was writing my childhood. It tells the story of these 4 little girls as they are having their last summer in the projects because they're slowly but surely getting knocked down. And each girl tells a different archetype of a Black girl. One is fairly innocent. One is a church girl. One comes from a family of gang members and is following in the footsteps of them. Another one is the child of a drug dealer. Not a drug dealer, a drug addict who is doing some very foul things to her. It is a phenomenal story, and it's a short one. And y'all know I always say that short books always pack a punch. There are so many different conversations in this book about Black girls and the things that they go through without judging them. I think the big issue that I have with Sister Soldier and The Coldest Winter Ever and reading it as an adult is that you can tell that Sister Soldier doesn't respect her character. She's not telling the story from a perspective of wanting to help, right? And I think The Last Summer on State Street gives us nuance. It gives us the why behind the decisions that some Black girls have to make. Some Black girls from the hood that they have to make, that from the outside looking in, it's easy to judge them. It's easy to adultify them, right? And to say that they're grown and to say that they're fast, but you don't know the things that they're fighting. You don't know the nuance. Some of them only know the gang members and the drug dealers and all of these things. Some of them are trying to survive, and instead of trying to understand that, y'all be kicking Black girls in their back. And then they turn into Black women that y'all expect to fix this I'm yelling, and I didn't come here to yell at y'all on today. I just wanted to come talk to y'all about the books that I was reading. I'm yelling. I didn't mean to do that. Next, the book this month that I did not like. I think every book has an audience. I am not the target audience for this book, albeit a book that is of my favorite genre. The way that this book was written, the story that it tells, I just am not vibing with it. And I'm going to read some other things because I think sometimes other books can inform a book, right? And inform how you should be reading it and how you should be taking it in. I did look at the author's Instagram page. I purchased some books that she said inspired this because I have questions, comments, and concerns about Junie by Erin Crosby Eckstein. I thought I was liking this. I thought I was. This tells the story of a slave named Junie who is on a plantation that she has lived on her entire life. She does not know life outside of the Bellarine plantation, and she is grieving the loss of her sister, but she is also trying to prevent herself from being moved away from the family that she has left on this plantation. And there is a ghost story aspect to it. There's so many other books that you could read because, like, it's supposed to be a coming of age story. Junie never comes of age. She never does. Junie never comes of age. I feel like I'm finding it. I feel like someone gave the author a prompt. And said, I want you to write a historical fiction about a slave, and I'm going to give you a list of things that should be included in this. There should be LGBTQIA plus representation. There should be angry white men. There should be a slave trying to run. There should be magical realism. There should be ghosts. Right? And on this list was all of the things that people may feel should be in historical fiction, a Black historical fiction about a slave. And then the author followed that prompt. I feel like the pacing was off. There was a lot of world building in the beginning and getting to know this character in the first half of the book. It was like slow and steady, and you were figuring things out, and there was this ghost, and what's happening with the ghost? Is it really who we say that it is, or is something else gonna happen? And then the second half of the book moves at the speed of, I almost got goddamn whiplash. I said, now wait, hold the line. Why is we running? Why are we running? I don't know why I started going real fast. I was patting around for the remote because I'm like, did I sit on the fast forward button on accident? What happened? My baby do that. She'd be like, I don't know. With both her hands, I don't know. So when I looked up the author, beautiful gowns. She said, every time, it tastes bad coming out my mouth. Every time I say it, I get a little frustrated. She said that Jane Eyre inspired this story. I'm gonna just leave you with that. I will be reading Jane Eyre. I will be. Don't even worry about it. We're gonna get into it because I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't. I don't understand. I don't know what I read. The best thing about that book is the book cover. Have you seen it? Best thing about it is the book cover. They could get rid of this. Beautiful. Phenomenal. Whoever, I hope you get kissed in the mouth often. I hope you got a pay raise. Best thing about this book is the book cover. That's it and that's all. Next, let's get into all the ebooks that I read for the month of February. Well, there were a total of, hold the line, 9 books, and I'm going to go in order of how I read them. So first up, we had One Night Only by L. Kaysen. I read this around Valentine's Day. It is a second chance romance. It's a novella. It was only 85 pages, and it tells the story of a shifter who falls in love with a girl, understands that she is his fated mate, and then disappears on her. And then Cupid gets involved. It was very cute. I would love to see L. Kaysen write more shifter paranormal romance. I love a shifter, okay? If a werewolf roll up on me, I'm going, okay? I'm going with him. Next up, we have The DeSantis Cartel by Casey Mills. Usually it's the oldest son that has to take over the family business. In this case, it is the youngest son. He is going to take the place of his father. His father is stepping down, but in order for him to do this, y'all know the story, he has to show that he can have a wife, right? That he can run a family. How can you run a business if you can't run your household? He gets into an arranged marriage, right? His daddy said, this ain't only so that you could be married, but it's also got something to do with something else, or whatever the case may be. I ain't gonna spoil it for you. It was a good time. He was fine. I would have arranged to be married with him also as well. The female main character was not feeling it at first, so it is kind of an enemies to lover situation, but I thought it was really good. Casey Mills cannot do any wrong in my eyes. I will say, I feel like Mama is getting in her contemporary romance bag. I feel like her books used to be spicier than this. Like, she used to write some bend them over, fold them up. Do you hear me? Turn it every way but loose. And this, I was like, he was putting his mouth on it. Anyway, I just said y'all be letting the kids watch my videos. Next up, The Fifth Kings by Masterpiece. You know that this is a Masterpiece stan account. I love her. I may or may not have been in her DMs and her text messages hollering and screaming about this book. The Fifth Kings is a very dark romance. I think it's the darkest that I've read, which I have to double check that. I want to go on a adventure of reading dark romance by Black authors because I feel like that's a good time. And I know I've read one that's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling that was very dark. He was crazy, but I could do crazy on the page. I don't mind it on the page. Fifth Kings. This tells the story of a girl who has a very popular social media gossip blog who is trying to take down a crime family that is very violent. Okay, when she said filth, she meant filth. That part was fine to me, but all of the violence, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm old enough to read this book. It was a grand time. It was a very good time. It was a lot going on. Violent, okay, dark. Now, the family, I ain't even really gonna tell you much. All I'm gonna say is that there is a man named Monster in this book. I want Monster for myself. I want him for myself. Yes, I want him for myself. I want Monster for myself. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Next, Through the Storm by Beverly Jenkins. Y'all know this is also a Beverly Jenkins stan account. I want Black men to start reading more romance. Black men, you should be reading Beverly Jenkins. You should be reading romance in general, but you need to read more romance because I feel like Black romance shows us the possibility of Black men. I think there are some men that read romance and they be like, oh, she comparing me to these fictional men and so on and so forth. But what you're not seeing is all the love that we have for y'all. Raymond Levesque. Okay, and I'm going to put a picture of Denzel Washington that popped into my head when Raymond Levesque was being described because I like to give us something to visualize. Okay, he is a general in the war and he is introduced to our female main character by none other than Harriet Tubman herself, and they are at this camp called the contraband camp where runaway slaves or free slaves were being held until figured out what to do with them. And here's this woman that he is very, very in love with. Sable is a runaway. She very beautiful woman, okay, but she also is trying to figure out her life, and she gets put into a situation where she might be sent back into slavery, and some things happen. Then her and Raymond end up in an arranged marriage. That's all I'm gonna tell you. It was a very good time. I think one of my favorite things about Beverly Jenkins is how well she writes historical fiction because it gives you a lot of history, but it's also still like hot and steamy and there's something to like look forward to. But the history is so rich, right? And it goes back to that thing that I always say too, where I think it's important for us to humanize our elders, right? And I think or our ancestors, I should say. Elders, ancestors, same thing. She does a very good job at that. It makes them human, right? Because I keep trying to tell y'all, they didn't just go to sleep and then wake up a slave again. That ain't how it went. Next, I read the Edward Brothers series by Drea Anderson. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. We'll talk about both of these at the same time. So first is Devin. Devin is a werewolf shifter. He recently got out of jail after 10 years. He is amazed at the things that his brother Declan has done. He has flipped this money and turned them into millionaires. And then Devin happens to run into his fated mate. While that happens, he is trying to get out of the game. He understands that that's not the life that he wants to live anymore. And his brother is trying to get the werewolf seat on the Matsi, which is the like shifter paranormal board of, y'all know what I'm trying to say, like the people that run all the stuff in the paranormal you like, they politicians or whatever. Declan wants that seat, and in order for Declan to get that seat, he has to kind of be on the straight and narrow too, because he needs to help his brother, because he's going to be his brother's right hand. So we kind of follow them as they are figuring all of this stuff out, and then he is trying to convince his fated mate to be with him. I love the fated mates story. Like, I love that they can see each other and instantly know that that's their person. I wish that would happen for me. What I will say, I felt like with these books, I probably should have read other Julia Anderson books to kind of get the lay of the land. She says that you can read these without reading the others, and I guess you can, but there was just a lot that I felt like I should have known already. So I will be venturing into her other books. Declan is the brother that wants the seat. In his book, we follow through with that storyline, but he also runs into his fated mate, and there's a lot of drama. I like Declan more than I like Devin. I like a crazy man on page. Like, I like a, what did he say to that lady? He was like, you felt it, like, you know, we fated mates, like, I'm on you. And she was like, no, I got like life happening, I have a kid, like stuff is going on, it's complicated. And he was like, point me in the direction of who I need to kill to make this not complicated. And I said, baby, it get the coochie going every time. It just do. You know. Speaking of crazy, next I read 10,000 Hours with a Rich Menace by Jaquel J. I think that's how you say her name. If I'm mispronouncing it, please let me know in the comments. It is what the title of the book say. It wasn't very spicy. Maverick is on the spectrum. He has what I like to call diet autism, that is ADHD, and he's also a kingpin, a violent one. He had to get it out the mud, right? Like, he lost his parents when he was young. He's had to raise his siblings. He's trying to do the best or whatever, but he had to let them know that he was actually a menace, okay? The female main character is also going through some things in her life, but she makes a friend. This friend is a scammer. They steal some money. Lo and behold, the money was stolen from Maverick, and he is, in fact, a menace. And then it goes from there. It moves very fast. This is one of those books where it's funny if you have a dark sense of humor. The best parts about this book are how unhinged he is. Like, that's the best part. Do they be hunching? Yes, but they don't be hunching real hard. So, like, don't go into this expecting for it to be spicy, because it's not. Next up, one of my favorites this month was Jabari by Charity Shanae. I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I don't know if it's Shane or Shanae. I think it's Shanae, because it's a little thingy at the E got the little thingy over the top. You know what I'm trying to say? Got the little thingy on top. This is about a reformed thug. Okay, baby grew up a little bit rough. He is a gang member, but he is now in the NBA. His name is Jabari, and he is on the road to a championship. It's funny that I'm talking about this, because y'all know that I don't know anything about the BD basketball, but I had a very grand time reading a good time reading this. Okay. The female main character is, she got a lot of stuff going on. She also had a rough childhood. They end up crossing paths when he needs a tattoo done, and he falls first. It is cute. It is fast paced. It's a little violent. Like, if you like a reformed thug, this is for you. Like, one that's like, oh, I know how to put on a suit and I know how to do the things and be the man that you need me to be, but some shit pop off, I'm gonna call my man and fix it. He gonna fix it. Him, his brothers, his uncles, all that. This is for you. That's who Jabari is. Again, they was hunching, but they wasn't hunching like real hard. Last but certainly not least, At War with Love. This about cowboy. Y'all know I like me a good old country, big old country man. You know I like that. So the story opens up with our female main character canceling her wedding because she found out some unsavory things about her fiance to be, and she goes home. And she's living back home with her mom. She's trying to get her life together. She needs a job. She takes a nannying position, not realizing that the person looking for the nanny is her high school sweetheart. So it is a second chance romance of two high school sweethearts that are very much trying to act like they don't still love each other. It was super cute. It reminded me of, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a series of like holiday books, not that I read last year, but the year before. There was like one by M.L. Bash, one by Casey Mills, that were all like in this country town with these like cowboys, cowgirls, or whatever the case may be. It put me in the vibe with that. I love me a good old cowboy. I really do. I just love a cowboy. It was super cute. It was a quick read. Another one of those, they was hunching, but they wasn't hunching real hard. So it's not a coochie book. Don't expect it to be super, super spicy. But it was a good read. Like if you are just in the mood for a contemporary romance. If you're looking for something, if you're looking for a cowboy on the heels of the Cowboy Carter concert, if you're looking for a cowboy, that was a very good one. The author's name is Maya. I don't think I've read anything by her before, so I will be looking into more of her work. I hope that she writes some more cowboys, or has written some more cowboys, because I am in the mood for that. We're at the end of the video, guys. Those are all the books that I read. My favorites. Jabari was a favorite. Last Summer on State Street was definitely a favorite. Those were my top for the month. The ones, and The Trees, those were the ones that like I continued to think about after I read them, and they like sat with me and I had strong feelings about. The one that I did not like was Junie. Everything else was where it was. I know I've been trying to, in these videos with what I am currently reading, I have a whole bunch of stuff going right now. This first week of March, I've read 5 books so far. Well, I finished 2 that I started in February. I finished Go Tell It on the Mountain. What else? I'm sure March's reading wrap up is going to be a long video. But what do I have going right now? I'm finishing up They Were Her Property. I started reading In My Remaining Years by Jean Grey and Capadonna. I love you. If no one has told you today, I love you. You are kind. You are smart. You are important. If to no one, to me. Bye, friends. If you made it this far in the video, tell me what your favorite book for February was. I want to know. And make sure you join the Discord. Okay, love you. Bye.